let's talk about this French team first before we ask you about your opinion on who they're going to be playing in the final. How beloved are this French team by the French public? Have they won them over the last period of time?
I think the results have. It's also, you got to think there are two Frances, that the Frances of football supporters and the France in general at large. France in general at large would be is delighted by the fact that we're in a final again. The people who follow football a little bit more closely are, of course, very happy for the qualification for the final, but perhaps don't feel necessarily overjoyed by it, but because of the manner in which the win was achieved. But at the moment, the France which is rejoicing is by far, believe me, in the majority, despite the caveats of some, including myself, of course.
Yeah, well, let's talk about those caveats. What are your concerns about the style of play and the manner in which they've reached the final?
The style of play, I mean, we now know what Deschamps is. We know he's an Italian style, I mean old-fashioned Italian style type of coach. When you see that Giroud probably spent as much time defending in his own box than trying to score goals in the Belgian half of the pitch, I think you've said it all. And defensively, it was admirable. Some tremendous individual performances. A very strong collective, obviously a great mentality within the group, and but again, we still feel a little bit. Well, I still feel a bit frustrated because I still think that this team is capable of so much more. Because you see from time to time, by the way, I mean, in a few sequences of play, that we do have an exceptional generation of young players, and you wish more could be done with them. But I tell you what, it really is it's a rich person's problem, isn't it? When you're in the final, you deserve to be, despite the fact that many of my Belgian friends feel very differently about this, I must say. I mean, it's wonderful to be in the final, but again, I can't remember being as little thrilled by the prospect as I am now. Which is weird, isn't it?
Well, totally. But actually, I totally understand it as well, because at the same time, the French team who reached the final of the Euros was, in the opinion of most people, a clearly superior team to the opponent, but they lost that game. And you could see something similar happening here, where they're clearly the best team left. They've got the best collection of individuals. They're even, at times, the best definition of a team. They're just not the best definition of their best team. They're not their best selves when they're playing. And so it's almost as if Deschamps is giving everybody else the opportunity to pick them off by refusing to allow them to be free.
Yes, and you could say that the Belgians were not extraordinarily lucky. They lacked a little bit of inspiration, though, in the latter stages of the game. But, for example, I mean, in Belgium, they're still talking about the free kick that wasn't given against Eden Hazard, because basically that was perhaps the one occasion, at the 79th minute, perhaps the one chance that they had to get back into the game for real. But it is true that there is a feeling of frustration, because obviously this France will be compared to other Frances which won major titles. It certainly is not playing as beautiful a football as the France of Platini and Giresse and the others. It's not playing as beautiful a football as the France of 2000, which I think still remains the best team the country has ever produced, but both in terms of results and in terms of the quality of the play. This is a very pragmatic France, which is not an adjective that we normally use. And when you talk about what happened against Portugal at the Euro, I think Deschamps, who is very much a coach for whom winning is the only thing, I think he decided, okay, well, I'm going to make sure this doesn't happen ever again. And to make sure this doesn't ever happen ever again, I'm going to build a team that is incredibly solid. And he's lucky. He's got the players for it. Lloris had a great game. Raphael Varane was simply immense, which honestly we'd never seen him at this kind of level. And N'Golo Kante is for me the best player in the tournament. Paul Pogba, I think, was superb in defense. You can carry on. And Giroud and even Griezmann, even if he was extremely disappointing one more time in an attacking sense, defended absolutely superbly from the front. So yes, he's done exactly what he wanted to do, and you score on a dead ball situation. It's not exactly the kind of football that will make people dream, but it's the kind of football that can put a second star on your shirt.